Switch to me. Switch to me. Mzansi, halala. Yes, please. Re ka nne ra dula fatshe. Dumelang. Hey, tada. Sanbonani. Goeiemorgen. Hallowi. Shapunjani lapho. Nimnandi. Shayna maflating in izwe man. Izo. Ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang, my name is Tebogo Mwalusi. I am the National Treasurer of Rise Mzansi. Kelidumedisa, I welcome you all here to Victoria Yards. I'm going to be your program director for this morning. I look forward to walking this journey with you as we reveal the Rise Mzansi Johannesburg candidate for mayor, Mr. Lukhona Mnguni. Mr. Lukhona Mnguni. Anginizwa. Mr. Lukhona Mnguni. Rise, Lukhona, rise. Phakama, Lukhona, phakama. This is why we are here. We are here to send a message that we have finally found our mayor for the city of Johannesburg. And his name is Lukhona Mnguni. And today, you're going to be hearing messages from the national leadership of Rise Mzansi, from the national leadership of the Good Party, from all stakeholders, youth, women, business, and all other key stakeholders of Johannesburg. So we've got a jam-packed program. I ask for your indulgence, Kikopa, Remameleng, the people who are going to share the message of what is going to take to turn around Johannesburg. But I don't come alone. I am part of a bigger structure, Ribita, the NLC, the National Leadership Collective. It is the highest decision-making body of this organization called Rise Mzansi. So without further ado, I would like to invite out onto stage and into the room the national chairperson of Rise Mzansi. She is also the acting premier of Gauteng. She is also the MEC of Economic Development, Rural Development and Agriculture, Miss Vuyiswa Ramogopa. Leadership idumela. Leadership idumela. Leadership idumela. Dumela. Yo dumela. Leadership idumela. Leadership idumela. Leadership idumela. Dumela. Dumela. Thank you very much. She comes out with the National Leadership Collective. I also want to recognize the leaders from the National Leaders Council of the Good Party. They also join us front and center. As you can look into the crowd, there are beautiful orange t-shirts to mark a very important partnership called Rise Mzansi and the Good Party. You are welcome, the good members. We love that you are here. Rise, Good Party, rise! Rise, the Good Party, rise! Rise, Good Party, rise! Halala, good halala. Thank you very much. And now, leaders, I would like you to be upstanding as we welcome into the room the national leader of Rise Mzansi. He will be accompanied by the national leader and president of the Good Party, Minister Patricia de Lille. Let's please stand and welcome Mr. Songezo Zibi. You may be seated. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, leaders. So now that we have all the leaders of the respective parties in the room, we are going to start, but we cannot start without honoring the prayer for this beautiful country. So if we can all stand and sing the national anthem, I ask that all gentlemen remove your hats as we respect this moment and sing the South African national anthem. Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyisu pondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo Morena boloka setšhaba sa heso o fedise dintwa le matshwenye o se boloke setšhaba sa heso setšhaba sa South Africa, South Africa. 80 blow onse jemel, 80 diep de vanonsie. Oorens gewige gebektes van die kranse antwoord gee. Some forgot to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land. Thank you very much. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. What a beautiful prayer. May we never forget to sing that song. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you again. We now start our official program to launch the mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, running under Rise Mzansi, Mr. Lukhona Mnguni. Today is going to be an exciting day. I hope those who are tuning in at home are watching this, excited by this moment. Dilodichenchile mojozi from today. We are going to see something different on the streets from today. We're going to see energy on the streets of Jozi from today. We're going to see a young leader on the streets from today. We're going to see a thinker on the streets from today. Abasoreboni, abasoreboni. Marbato utwa karona. From today, Rise Mzansi is in the race. Dilodichenchile. Litobona lona. And to start the proceedings, I want to welcome onto stage. We brought her in the room, but I want to remind you again who she is. She is at the moment, the acting premier of Gauteng,
Ayeboyeswa mawasethanda
of
sese
Rise Mzansi, Buyiswara Mukhupa.
thandazani nonke. Ayeboyeswa mawasethanda sese thandazani nonke. Baba iyesa mama thandazani nonke. Ayeboyeswa mawasethanda sese.
I rise. We rise together. We don't rise sitting down in this movement. Ke kopa le meng ka maoto. I rise. We rise together. Thank you. You may be seated. To the national leader of Rise Mzansi, Mr. Songezo Zibi, the leader and president of the Good Party, Minister Patricia de Lille, members of the National Leadership Collective, leaders, supporters, and volunteers of Rise Mzansi, the leaders of civil society, of business, and community organizers present, I greet you. Galidumedisa, Galilocha, Sanbonani. We gather here at an important moment. This is an important moment in our political journey as Rise Mzansi. This is a significant moment also in the life of our city and indeed our country. We gather here almost 3 years to the date since Rise Mzansi was born as a political party. And we gather here, leaders, once again to recommit to our mission. Because Rise Mzansi was formed out of an understanding that South Africa can no longer continue on its current trajectory. We need profound renewal in how we govern, how we lead, and how we serve our communities. 3 years ago, this party did not exist in the form that it does today. We had no seats in parliament. We had no representation in any legislature in this country. We had no established political structures. But what we had, and what we still have, is conviction. Conviction that South Africans deserve ethical leadership. Conviction that South Africans deserve a competent and a capable government. And conviction that politics must first and foremost be grounded in service to the public rather than political survival. And you, the people of South Africa, gave us that mandate. Our national leader today chairs the most significant committee in Parliament, the Scopa Committee. And he's not just sitting there. Clark it. He has used that seat to fight for justice for the many vulnerable and voiceless people who have been abused by Amasela. He has used that seat to ensure that those who have abused their positions of power do not go unpunished. Today, leaders, the hardest working member of Parliament Makashulekana, has single-handedly fought for the rights of all those who have been negatively affected by online gambling. He has fought to curb gambling, advertising, and protect our young people and the people of this country from the ills of gambling. And today, leaders, I stand before you as the person who has been mandated to be in charge of Gauteng's 2.4 trillion rand economy. Rise Mzansi is not shouting from the sidelines. We are in government in this very province, in Gauteng. And under Rise Mzansi's leadership, Gauteng's economy will rise. And we will ensure, as we have already started to do, that anyone who dares to abuse state funds, who dares to abuse their oath of office, who dares to abuse the positions we have entrusted them with, is never shielded from consequence. Leaders, do not be misled by anyone who will tell you that Rise Mzansi is a small party. Rise Mzansi is not a small party. Rise Mzansi is a new party with new ideas and new leaders who are going to take this country forward. And in the next 7 months, Rise Mzansi will be the party that will be leading the coalition government in this very city of Johannesburg, where we stand today. We will not be gatekept. We will not be gatekept. We will not be told that we are too young or too professional or too new to lead this country. And as we prepare for the 2026 local government elections, our message remains clear. The city of Johannesburg deserves the best leaders that we can find in this city. And those leaders are in this room today. That leader is in this room today. These may well be early days in our movement, but they have already demonstrated something very important, leaders. That ethical leadership and capable governance are not abstract ideals. They are ideals for which we must never stop fighting. We must demand our seat at that table, and we must dare to dream of the country we know South Africans deserve. And we will fight. We will fight till the end. But we are not in this fight alone. There are those amongst us who have been in this fight, who have been on that journey. Those who long declared that it is time for the good people of this country to rise. The relationship between ourselves as Rise Mzansi and the Good Party does not begin today. It began long before even the 2024 elections. But as of yesterday, we formally announced that Rise Mzansi and the Good Party have finalized our cooperation agreement and will be jointly contesting the 2026 local government elections. I therefore have the pleasure and the honor of introducing a leader who has been consistent in her fight, her lifelong fight to restore ethical governance to this country of ours. A leader who has stood as a lone voice of what principled ethical leadership stands for in this government and in this country. A leader who today, in the year of our Lord 2026, remains the only woman leading a political party in the national parliament of our country. And a woman who inspires me greatly as a leader in this country. So leaders, residents of Johannesburg, please join me in welcoming to the stage our favorite auntie, the national leader of the Good Party, Minister Patricia de Lille. Amandla! Amandla! I greet you all in the name of collaboration and standing together for the sake of our country. And so it's my pleasure to be here today to endorse a young leader in our country that we want him to lead this great city of Johannesburg. And it's possible. Anything in life is possible if you are prepared to work hard, and work damn hard, you can achieve it. Now, I long respected him for his seriousness. He can be very serious. Now, he understands what it means that it is a privilege and it's a duty to serve our people. We are no longer having leaders that are prepared to serve. We no longer have leaders who are prepared to lead. We've got rulers. They want to rule us. And we must turn that around. I know him as a political commentator, but he's been consistent in what he was doing. You know, there are many political analysts today. Some of them just wake up in the morning and declare themselves an analyst. And then analyze what they've seen on social media. No, not Lakonya as an analyst. He reads, he researches, he's objective. I don't know where they find these analysts every morning and every night that you see. But now he's so brave. He's
putting up his hand. He's putting up his hand from a young generation and say, I want to serve. And as they say, cometh the hour, cometh the man. That is what it is. Or shall we say that this moment finds this person. So, you know, I spent my life fighting for this country, to liberate our country from the evil past of colonialism and apartheid. And for all of those years, my family made sacrifices so that I can live my conviction. And today, we say we are free. And we must never forget the past. We must honor the past. But now, the young people, they have an opportunity to design their own future. That is, you must design your own future. Don't live in the past, honor the past. So in 1994, we have attained our freedom. And we then committed to continue to serve and to fight for the rights of every South African. But today, there are just too few people tasting the fruits of our democracy. Some, democracy for some, not democracy for everyone. And we need to fight, continue to fight, that more people in our country can taste the fruits of our new democracy. We're celebrating 30 years of our new constitution. And all of those beautiful rights in there. But the lived experience of our people is not the same. So as we celebrate our new, our 30 years of our constitution, South Africans, those rights in the constitution will remain just rights on paper. It is our duty to claim those rights. They're not just there for paper. We must claim those rights. And then we will change the lived experience of our people. You know, sometimes people ask me, now why do you work with the ANC? After you've exposed corruption, blew the whistle on the arms deal 28 years ago. And still today, we have not seen justice. Hopefully next year, the trial will begin. And as the first witness, I've been called several times. And then I said to the Billy Downer, the prosecutor, I will say to him, hi man, these people, I don't believe they're going to find another card. But my response has been that I can serve my country in any capacity. And in my lifetime, I've been privileged to serve in all three spheres of government. But the one that I liked most and enjoyed most is having been the mayor of the city of Cape Town for 8 years. And what I learned being a mayor is that the problems of our people at local government knows no political affiliation or color. When you are poor, when you don't have a house, when you don't have water, you don't have electricity, there's no political affiliation. The problems of our people knows no political affiliation at local government. But being in the office of the mayor, is not an unfettered power. It is an office of unfettered duty, a real duty to your people. And of course, that office comes with influence. So, what we are putting to the people of the city of Johannesburg is a young, ethical, serious leader that can lead the city. And so we are very happy to work together with Rise and Mzansi. And we have been working together for many years, like Vuyo was saying. But now, contesting these elections, the Good Party will support Rise Mzansi to lead the campaign in Johannesburg. To lead the campaign in Johannesburg. We will be there side by side with our mayoral candidate to go around the country. Because Rise and Good together offers an alternative. What did we see in Johannesburg? The ANC had their chance and they messed it up. The DA had their chance and they messed it up. It's time that those two parties, the ANC and the DA, they are just good for each other. They're not good for our country. They're not good for our country. They had their chances and they messed it up. And we're asking South Africans today in Johannesburg, please give us a chance. Please give us a chance. You know, when it comes to voting, you will hear people say, I normally vote for this party. I normally vote for that party. It's wrong. You should never give your vote away to any political party. So we're asking the people of Johannesburg, please lend us your vote. Please lend us your vote. And if we mess up, you vote us out. The only way you can get rid of the mess in Johannesburg, brothers and sisters, we live in a democracy. The only way you can change Johannesburg is to vote them out. There's no other way. No other way. You must vote them out. And we are going to work hard to let that happen. I want to, in closing, thank Lakonya for willing to come up and step forward to be our mayoral candidate. Because it's easy for those armchair politicians or that armchair critics to sit around and just complain. He put up his hand and he said, I am ready to serve the people of Johannesburg. We must give over to the next generation, to a young generation. They must take over and they must become involved now. They must watch this old generation that we don't mess up the country that they are going to inherit from us. So to me, all of you, all of the young people here, you must get involved to protect your heritage. That this current generation don't destroy everything. By the time you get there, there's nothing. So I encourage you, all of you, this is a call once in a generation to come and serve. So please don't miss that opportunity. And as we go forward today, starting today and starting tomorrow, We need to be out there to go and persuade people to vote for us. People are sick and tired of all the lies. People don't trust politicians anymore because they all come before the elections, vote for me, and they make all kinds of promises, and then after the elections, they disappear. The organization that we are building and the corporation that we are building together with Rise Mzansi is that we want to show that difference. And we will be different. So it is really an honor for me to endorse this young man from the young generation to lead us. To lead us. When we write the history books of this country, we must be able to say, Patricia de Lille served, but now it's time for the next generation to come. And I am willing to work because we need that intergenerational mix. But leadership must come from the young people. Young people must lead us. Please, please, young people, you must lead us in this country. You can do it, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, leaders. Thank you very much. To the national chairperson of Rise Mzansi, Ms. Vuyiswa Ramokgopa, thank you for the kind words. You have a very important job. You are running the economy of Gauteng, which is the soul of this province and this continent. There are many unemployed young people in this room, and they look to our leadership to make sure we solve for that. And we know we can trust you with that mandate because you have proven in all walks of life, in business, in the boards you used to sit on, that you are an effective professional. And so asisabi that you will deliver the goods. Auntie Pat, thank you very much. As the Minister of Tourism, again, you play a crucial role to absorbing young people into the world of work. And so there are plenty young people in here who are looking to you to say, Auntie Pat, help us feed our families, help us live a dignified adult life. And again, we trust that you will do that because you've been a formidable leader since the dawn of democracy. You've shown to be a disciplined, committed, unwavering leader. And we trust that you will deliver employment and jobs for young people of South Africa. Thank you, Auntie Pat. Not too far from here is a school that I went to, Basibitsa Sacred Heart College. It was one of the schools where, during apartheid, they opened their doors for people like myself, people of color, African black people, to have access to quality education. And it was at that school that we learned politics, where we saw black dignity, where we saw black excellence, when we saw black community. In that school, I also met another young man. Today, he is the executive director of Rise Mzansi. He runs the operations of this formidable organization. He makes sure that on a day-to-day basis, we can run a professional, effective, and respectable organization. He's a passionate young man. He speaks for dignity and social justice. He fights for freedom in every room that he steps in. He also dresses really well. You can't come from Josie Usana's Dwadlo. I mean, it's somebody, man. Man. Josie does not allow for slap tigers. And this young man is not a slum tiger. This young man is so dope. He's my brother. I'd like to welcome onto stage Mr. Witumelo Mpakanyane.
Phansi ngamasela phansi. Phansi ngamasela phansi. Rise Mguni rise. Rise Joburg rise. Leaders, what a privilege it is to be with you here today. And you say bahle. Blixen. Josie, Mzansi, leaders, friends, my job today here is an easy one. It's an easy one because my responsibility is to introduce one of my favorite South Africans. But before I do that, I want to remind us of something, Mzansi, Josie. I want to remind us that there comes a moment in the life of every nation, every city, where ordinary people must decide whether or not they want to simply witness history or shape it. Not politicians, not celebrities, not the wealthy, not the connected. Ordinary people like you and me. People with jobs to get to in the morning while raising children. People running small businesses while trying to survive crime, load shedding, unemployment, and rising cost of living. People who still carry the hope for this country, for this city, even when that hope becomes difficult. Because the truth is, Mzansi, all any great movement in history has ever needed is for ordinary people to choose to do difficult things. Mzansi, when ordinary people refuse to accept that decline is inevitable, when ordinary people decide that their communities are worth fighting for, when ordinary people step forward, not because they believe they are perfect, but because the moment demands courage, Mzansi. And that's what Rise Mzansi believes at its core. We believe that leaders already exist amongst us, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our places of worship, and our civic organizations, in our families, but most importantly, Mzansi, in our communities. We believe South Africa is full of excellent but ordinary people capable of rebuilding this country. People who care, who serve, who show up. People who believe that ethics still matter. People who still believe that dignity matters, Mzansi. People who believe that South Africa is worth saving. Because Rise Mzansi doesn't exist for faceless elites. It exists for Didintle, Kwena, Pahamo, Zandile. For Ntsako, Megan, Armand, and Tiamo. For Pierre, Mbali, Marang, and Zuleika. Everything we do for you, Mzansi. For the mother waking up before dawn to commute 6 hours to get to work, or the young person searching for opportunity, and the entrepreneur trying to create jobs despite every single obstacle. For the pensioner who simply wants safety and dignity, or the teacher buying stationery out of her own pocket to build the next generation. What about the volunteer cleaning a public park because nobody else will bother? For the millions and millions of South Africans, Mzansi, who hold this country together on their shoulder every day without recognition. But sometimes, Mzansi, sometimes from amongst these ordinary South Africans, real leaders emerge. Not because they were born believing that they are destined for power or that they deserve power, but because they love their communities enough to act. And that is why, Mzansi, the man I'm about to introduce to you matters so much, because he embodies this idea completely. An excellent but ordinary South African who stepped into public life not out of ambition for status, but out of a love for his country, out of the belief in citizens to create the future that they want. Before politics, he was already what so many of us aspire to be. He's always been thoughtful. He's always been ethical, passionate, and disciplined. But most importantly, Mzansi, always been committed to excellence. But when he looked around at the condition of the country around him, he made a decision that defines leadership. He decided he can no longer stand on the sidelines. He chose to act, he chose to serve, but Mzansi, he chose to lead. Not because it was easy, not because it was fashionable, and definitely not because of any guaranteed outcome, but because he believed in a South Africa that deserves better. He believed that ordinary people still have the power to build that better future. In a political culture too often dominated by ego and noise and spectacle, this particular South African Mzansi represents something completely different. He represents calm, integrity, and competence. He represents humanity, Mzansi. He reminds us that leadership is not about being the loudest person in the room, despite how loud I'm being right now. It's about carrying the hopes, the dreams, and the aspirations of ordinary people, Mzansi, with the seriousness and care that they deserve. And perhaps that's what gives so many people hope when they encounter him, because they see themselves in him. Not a distant political figure or some manufactured personality, Mzansi, but proof that ordinary South Africans can still rise to do extraordinary things. And that ultimately is the promise of Rise Mzansi, that the future of this country will not be built by political saviors or for people who promise us a future that they won't even be here to see, Mzansi, but by ordinary, excellent people who love this country enough to fight for it. And about to stand before you is one of those people. So Mzansi, let's rise as we welcome the national leader of Rise Mzansi, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, the protector of the public purse, one of the most powerful and brave men I know, Songezo, Zibi.
I rise, I rise, I rise, I rise, we rise, we rise, we rise. Amandla! Amandla! Thank you. To me, I was wondering who you're talking about there. So imagine my surprise when you mentioned my name and I realized it's time for me to get up. Thank you very much. Let me welcome my colleagues from Rise Mzansi, from the Good Party, and say all protocols observed, because they've already spoken here, so I'm not welcoming them into the meeting. But departing from my prepared remarks, and my colleagues are going to get upset with me, I want to talk about something that we are losing first, so that we can place today's events and look on Mnguni's candidacy for the mayor of Joburg, and every other person who's put up their hand to say, I want to run for council under the banner of Rise Mzansi. Because the country has so many problems, we are beginning to fight amongst ourselves. We are beginning to try and find enemies amongst us. There are leaders who are looking for groups of people that they can blame for the state of our country. So we want to say black people are the problem. Whenever we talk about the collapsed state of Johannesburg, if you read articles, somebody will say it's BEE, which means it's black people. The corrupt people, the incompetent people who have run this city to the ground didn't do so because they are black. They did so because they are unethical. They did so because they only care about themselves and their friends and their families. It's not black people. But then there'll be those who say the reason we are here is because democracy was a scam and white people scammed us. Guess who loves that argument? It's the corrupt people who continue to eat while people go hungry. It serves only them that we point fingers at each other. instead of pointing fingers at them and the problems that they have caused. So this is everybody's campaign. This must be the campaign of unity. The person who will be mayor of the city of Johannesburg is the person who will not be antagonizing and polarizing, but the person who will unite various political parties, various communities, various stakeholder groups under one vision and one mission and one purpose, which is to build a safe and clean Johannesburg that works for everybody. There are those who want to convince us that non-racialism is dead. It's not. We need to fight for it because it is based on values. It is based on ethics. It is based on playing the ball, not the man. It means whether you are black or you are white, you can fight racism. It means whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you can fight sexism and misogyny. That's the kind of campaign that we need to build. That is the kind of society that we need to build. And so it is important that we never ever forget that the way the corrupt get away is to divide us and to remind us what the differences are between us, rather than the things that should unite us. So we must remember that. But today is a good day. Today is a great day. Today marks a turning point in this election and in the future of the city of Johannesburg. Where I come from in the Eastern Cape, they say, "Kwandonga ziyaduma kwele ndundu." If you were worried that your dreams of a great future would rest on the shoulders of someone way past retirement age, worry no more today. If you were pained that bright, talented young people who can articulate their own vision did not want to step forward and lead this great city, then today your pain will turn to hope. If you had a knot in your stomach that to get a functioning city, then you will have to swallow a little bit more racism, a little more denial of genocide, a lot more hostility to the very idea of prioritizing the poor and marginalized, then your deep fear must turn to great hope today. Today we get to show that we do not have to leave our deeply held values about justice at the door so that we can get someone who promises to do the bare minimum, but cares little for justice, for equality, for the empowerment of women and of marginalized black and brown people. Today we get to show that you can have youth, intellectual depth, deep knowledge of government and our political system, and a personality that is uniting. And then still be able to deliver an exciting vision for South Africa's shining light on the hill, the city of Johannesburg. I want to be frank with you. Until today, the Johannesburg mayoral candidate has been fronted by two people way past their prime, selling us a dream of days gone by instead of what can be, fighting factional battles from their time in the Democratic Alliance. The city of Johannesburg does not need that. This is the old politics we need to bury 6 feet under. The politics of we used to do it like this 20 years ago, we will do it the same way over the next 20 years and it will work. No, it will not work. Johannesburg is a city of dreams. It is a city of the young. It is a city of students. It is a city of young professionals. It is a city of young families setting out in life. It is a city of young entrepreneurs with groundbreaking ideas that need leaders who are on the same wavelength as they are. Yes, this is not about ageism. We love our senior citizens and we want a high quality life for them. But our country will not make the quantum leap it so desperately needs when it is led by people who cannot fully operate a smartphone because their brains are wired for the fax machine. We live in a different time. We live in a different time. For those who are too young to have witnessed the change from 1999 to 2000, where the minister of what is now the Ministry of Technology, who called it the 2YK problem, not the Y2K problem. That's what can happen. So now is the time for new leaders. Now is the time for new ideas and a bold new vision. Now is the time for an impatient but thoughtful radicalism to infuse a sharp sense of discomfort in a system that has long tolerated the old ways of the establishment. Now is the time for a safe and clean Joburg. Now is the time for a new beginning. And it starts now. There will be those who will say Lukona is too young. I have news for them. One of the greatest, if not the greatest statesman the world has ever seen, Nelson Mandela, had a Secretary General who was 39 years old in 1994. His name was Cyril Ramaphosa. 39. Tito Mboweni was 32 years old when he was Minister of Labor. A great man such as Nelson Mandela was not afraid to be led by young people. We must destroy the myth that young people belong in desks and belong in leagues to learn until they are 60 years old. Obama was in his 40s when he became president of the US. Dave Cameron was in his 40s when he became Prime Minister of the UK. The greatest Prime Minister of New Zealand was in her 30s when she became a Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. We must not believe the lie that young people must wait a lot more years. The time for young people to lead is now. The time for young people to lead was yesterday. It was last week, it was last month, it was last year. It was over the last 10 years already. The reason we are where we are today is because of people who have run out of ideas. The only thing they want is power for its own sake. And we must not allow it to happen anymore. One of the most offensive insults to the people of this city has been the shoving down the throats of the people of this city of unserious and incompetent mayors. Therefore, we knew we needed a serious person worthy of the respect of the residents of the city of Johannesburg. Our candidate is highly educated, not just in the villages, not just in the universities of South Africa, but also in universities abroad. Our candidate has traveled the world, learning and absorbing, while also sharing and teaching about the South African experience in each one of the continents of the world. Our candidate is a scholar and a teacher, a researcher who has done field work and published studies that people can see. He knows the South African system of government inside out. And our candidate is a rare breed in local. A warrior for justice, for social, spatial, and economic justice. I want to tell you a little bit of a story about my experience with this candidate. I was introduced to him in 2011 by now Professor Mzansi. And he said, I want to introduce you to a young man. I'm sure he won't waste your time. And that's how I got to know Lukon. So I can't remember what I had to send him an email on, and he gave me his email address. I don't think he remembers this, but his email address then already was killpoverty@yahoo.something. And he was in his early 20s. That's what drives Lukona every day. That's what makes him angry. That is why he understands that corruption is not a victimless crime. It causes and deepens poverty and suffering. He is an internationalist who is as articulate about the issues of the inner city of Johannesburg as he is about the plight of Palestinians under Israeli apartheid occupation and genocide, or the Congolese who suffer under a different type of genocide driven by their own corrupt political leaders and global greed for minerals. He can walk and chew gum at the same time. He's not going to tell you that what's going on in the Congo is a little bit complicated. I can't talk about it. Because when people show us what they are willing to stand for anywhere in the world, it shows us what they're willing to stand for here at home. It shows us what they're not willing to stand for here at home. If you cannot stand with oppressed people in Australia, in the United States of America, in Europe, on the African continent, you will not stand with oppressed people in South Africa. So that is why we have respected the people of Johannesburg by bringing them a mayoral candidate worthy of their time, worthy of their attention, worthy of their votes, and worthy of their confidence. In other words, instead of insulting the people of Johannesburg with unserious people, we have chosen to take them seriously, to respect them. And when he stands up here, you will see the seriousness and the patent I were talking about. It is a promise of Rise Mzansi that the people of Johannesburg deserve leaders who understand the issues that affect them in their homes, in their workplaces, their streets, and their neighborhoods. He is a young father who knows the struggles of mothers and families every morning and every evening, battling to spend enough time with their kids while struggling to earn an income to give them a better life than their own. He is a former student of Wits University who knows the pain of studying in a city whose councillors and mayors don't seem to know that Johannesburg is a student town. And the city needs to provide infrastructure that lowers the cost of education and the pressure that families go under in order to take their kids to university. He knows thousands of students battle with public transport and accommodation while politicians divide tenders among their proxies. But I want to say this. Although this candidate loves ideas and solutions, that love is only matched by his dislike and hate of three things: poverty, a state that makes people pay too much for essential services, and corruption. Oh, especially corruption. Amasela, the root of all our problems. That's the candidate we are getting. That's a candidate who understands that he cannot do the job alone. But you need fellow South Africans who are going to own the campaign, who are going to run for council, who are going to seek to represent their wards, who are going to seek to represent whatever area that is of interest to them, whether you are in the church, in civil society, in sports organizations, and so on. He gets it. So he's not doing this for himself. He's doing this for all of us. That is why today I am so proud to welcome onto the stage the best mayor that Johannesburg will have. Lukona Africa Mnguni.
Empe Amaraisa. Empe yoMzansi lo. Oba nomphathi. Phakame Somngoni. Phakame simeyabo. Oba nomphathi. Empe yamaraisa.
Empe yamaraisa.
Empe yoMzansi le.
Empe yoMzansi yo.
Oba nomphathi.
Ngaphansi.
Phakame Somngoni.
Phakame Somngoni.
Phakame Somngoni lo.
Phakame Somngoni yo.
Obani beya.
Obani ngaphansi Nkosi. Phakame Somngoni.
Empe yamaraisa.
Empe yamaraisa.
Empe yoMzansi le.
Rise, Mnguni, rise! Rise, Mnguni, rise! Rise, Mnguni, rise! I rise! I rise! We rise! We rise!
Yeta. Muthu wa mona. Wa mona. Haleluya tabili. Muthu wa mona. Muthu wa mona.
Thank you. Molweni. Dumelang. Abshen. Sanbonan. Nitsugin. No, andiganiva kahle. So sizawuqala kanje. Mina ngizolilwela izwe lami, ngizolilwela izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe ngizolilwela ngizolilwela izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe lami, izwe ngizolilwela 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 Iswela lam, iswela miswela, iswela, isolilwela, isolilwela, iswela, iswela, iswela miswela, iswela miswela, isolilwela, isolilwela.
Hey mama,
Miswela, miswela, miswela.
kukwela maselabo.
Miswela,
Ngizolilwela.
miswela,
Ngizolilwela bo.
miswela,
Hey mama,
miswela,
hey mama,
miswela,
kukwela masoela.
miswela,
Kukwela makolabo.
miswela,
Kukwela maselama.
miswela,
Hey mama,
miswela,
hey mama.
miswela, mbopha. Amandla,
Awethu,
amandla,
awethu.
amandla. Inkokheli, the national leader of Rise Mzansi, Songezo Zibi, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, COPA, the only committee in Parliament tasked properly to deal with Amasela, Dumela. the leader of the good party, the boxer, taught us how to fight, Minister of Tourism and Pet, Patricia Delil Molo. The National Chairperson of Rise Mzansi, who is currently the leader of government in Gauteng, Vuyiswa Ramokgobo. I also see the good MMC from the city of Tshwane, Dumela. The national chairperson of the Good Party is also here, Matthew Dumela. And all the leaders of the two organizations. So before I proceed, let me just state that in this room, there are leaders who are governing in all three spheres of government. So we are here because we believe that our country is worth fighting for. We are here because we believe that the city of Johannesburg is worth fighting for. We are here because our future is worth fighting for. We are here because we are beneficiaries of a long history of struggle against injustice. Justice must always prevail, and when injustice persists, good people must rise to secure the future of generations to come. Today I stand before you to declare that it is time to clean up Johannesburg. We must clean up the physical infrastructure as much as we must clean up the corruption and criminality in the city. But we must also clean up the soul of this city and return it to its residents so that we can all live dignified lives. We cannot allow for the soul of Joburg to be captured by gangsters in suits, by politicians in bed with criminals, and by criminality overtaking good governance. It is the young people of this city whose lives and futures are at stake who must rise up to the occasion to define the heart and soul of Jozi into the future. We must not use old instruments for this task. Young people are ambitious, futuristic, vocalistic, artistic, creative, and no doubt the foundation for the economies of the future, be it the gig economy, creative economy, data, technology, innovation, or artificial intelligence sectors, or just returning to being human again. It is time to vote Amasela out. We must be intolerant and very confrontational towards lamasela afuna ukweba ilizwe lethu. Siyawazi lamasela, siphila nawo in these streets of Joburg. Niyabuza, who is Amasela? Amasela are the thugs inside council, in the administration, and on the streets. They steal, and at times they are simply too incompetent to do their jobs. Today we declare that we want a safe and clean Joburg. We want this from Orange Farm to Lenasia, from Kensington to Yeoville, from Hillbrow to Melville, from Cosmo City to Randburg, from Sunning Hill to Diepsloot, from Ivory Park to Waterfall. Siyeze Alex sizoba phakathi eGomora. We are simply not safe in Joburg. We are terrified to walk the streets even in broad daylight. Someone in Kensington once told me they had a stray bullet go inside their home through the roof. His fencing and gate could not make him safe. Driving at night has become a source of danger in Joburg. Criminals are taking over our lives. The solution is not just more patrolling by JMPD. We need public spaces that are well lit, an environment that is maintained, a social fabric that is rebuilt, and a city that works for all communities. We must build bridges, not just of safety, but of spatial development, of inclusion, of solidarity, and most importantly, of a more humane Joburg. This campaign we are launching here today is a people-to-people campaign. This is a campaign about awakening and not just about votes. We will get the votes if we see people, if we listen to them, if we converse with them, and if we gain their trust, we will get votes. We are not entitled to anybody's vote. This is not a campaign of messiahs or cult-like leaders. This is a people's campaign. This campaign is for the residents of Joburg, by the residents of Joburg, and not outsiders to this city. The people who will stand with me in this campaign are not imported from outside the city of Johannesburg. They are also not recycled. We are not about the past, but we are about the future. We are here to innovate the Joburg we want to live in, the Joburg our children deserve to grow up in. When you talk to most parents, you hear loud whispers that say, I wish I could raise my children in another city that is not Joburg, because they are scared of this city and what it means for their children. This city has lost its soul to be embracing to innocent lives. Instead of being a space for growth, opportunities, and the future, it has regressed. It eats up its own children and spits them into the fire of destitution. However, we have not lost hope. We have not lost belief. We are here because we believe in this city and we want to clean it up. We have a moral and historic duty to clean up this city. The filth, the rot, the crime, the corruption, the arrogance of leaders, it all deserves to be flushed out. Some of you are wondering who I am and what brought me to this city. Mna ndingulukhona Mnguni, ndingumthembu, uqhudeni, umvelase, ungoza kamkhubukeli. Thina singadla mathibane yazi ukuba indlala iwini. Omnisi bemvula ilanga libalele. Ndiyeke ayigqitywa inkosi. I chose this city and I love it. I arrived here in January 2007 as a student. on a Translux bus with a bag and a lot of dreams. At that time, there were no Ubers or Bolts. You had to scout for a Rose taxi at the park station. My home became the infamous Labori village in Auckland Park. Then I was 17 years old. Today I stand before you as a seasoned and well-decorated 36-year-old resident of Joburg. Very soon, this city gave me a lifelong debate with my becoming. Here was a villager caught up in urban trappings. This boy from Balasi village in Flagstaff was now in the glamorous streets of a city that used to be a myth. Where I come from, we called Joburg Kwandonga ziyaduma, kwanyama ipeli, kupeli zinyo lendoda. That is because this city could attract people from all walks of life across the entire southern region. And the meat would be enough for all to have a feast. This city gave me the chance to build and grow something: a voice, a career, a life. This city had a soul when I arrived and a sense of community. That is why, even though I came to this city armed with a bursary for my studies, I still joined the famous Wits protests of 2007 on fee increases. Those protests were led by the SLC of Mbali Hlope, who has also served in the Gauteng government. And she led along with people like Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi at that time, serving in the SRC. There were members of the Progressive Youth Alliance, such as Pindile Kunene, Bafana Hlope, and others. I was never a member of the PYA, but we knew then that solidarity does not mean belonging to the same set of circumstances. Solidarity is about holding space for each other against an establishment that seeks to oppress you, me, and others, all equally, irrespective of our affiliation. So when they ask you, nimutata kuphi lo mafikizolo kwezepolitiki, nibatshela ukuthi angiyena umafikizolo. I've been a lifelong activist. What often makes my family nervous, some of them are here, is that our activism has frequently been practiced through the church and not politics. So my family has been active through the church. So I've abandoned this part. I mean, I'm still churchly, don't get me wrong. For some time when I was at university, I did this through the Methodist Students Society. But I soon realized that the most influential and impactful power is in politics. Thus, from 2009 to 2011, I dedicated my time to the Congress of the People. And we had robust debates even then, but I didn't know Aunt Pat personally. But herself, Tateli Kota, the late now, then leader of the DA, and Zumbizaga, were debating about the realignment of South African politics. I don't know if you remember those debates, Aunt Pat. As young as I was, I knew this country needed new politics and new leaders. And I was willing to raise my hand at a time when it was unfashionable to take a stand against the African National Congress. COPE was my first political home. So nibatshela ukuthi angiyena umafikizolo kwezopolitiko.
Yebo.
Some of those who are now political loudmouths against the failing politics of corruption either kept quiet or were very loud in insulting us back then. Some of them even went to a SASCO Congress to pass undemocratic resolutions to frustrate the registration of COPE student movement on university campuses led by SASCO. We defeated them. Sibuyile ngo. We are going to defeat them again.
Answer.
Some who are now so loud against wrongdoing in government have even had to publicly apologize that they were misled at the time. Some of them are still not being honest. They are simply trying to game the future and their place in it. Fake apologies. Politics should not be a game. It should be a noble calling to serve society to the best of our abilities. Everywhere I have been, whether the higher education space, in civil society, in broadcasting, or in my public commentary, I have sought to be robust, truthful, courageous, and unwavering in my convictions about the future we deserve as a country. I've always carried the clarity of mind that I will serve my country to the best of my abilities, and no one shall dare dictate how I serve my country.
Yes.
I have always known that serving my country will always demand that I change my stations in life from time to time. Therefore, I have accepted this honor to be the mayoral candidate for Mzansi because the time is right and ripe to change my station in life.
Wemthembu.
I rise,
We rise.
I rise,
We rise.
we rise, together.
We rise.
I am not a coward,
Siyakwazi ke.
and the marching order that it is time to clean Joburg will not be betrayed. The calling for new leaders will be fulfilled, and the promise for a safe and clean Joburg will be realized. Amasela will not stand in our way. The beneficiaries of the Look at God economy will have nowhere to hide. I am moving away from analyzing that economy. I am rolling up my sleeves to dismantle and to crush the Look at God economy.
Thembu.
You might ask, what is the Look at God economy? It is the one where people pretend to be working hard and that they are blessed, yet they know well that they are stealing from us and they keep making us feel as if we are not working hard enough. After this launch, Amasela azotataze. Phansi ngamasela phansi. Phansi ngamasela phansi. Down ngamasela down.
Down. Phakama Mthembu phakama.
In the city of Joburg, this election is not about the ANC. I want you to hear me very clear. This election is not about the ANC. It is about what comes after the ANC. We can fold our arms and allow anti-transformation forces to consolidate ground, or we can place our hands on deck to defend the promise of our democratic breakthrough. The proposition made by the ANC to build a society that is united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous was correct. However, the current leadership of the ANC in the city of Joburg is nowhere near the articulation and realization of that vision. They have strayed from the vision of the ANC and they are busy soiling it unprovoked. Our anger with this current crop of leaders must never make us lose sight of the society we deserve. As Rise Mzansi, we stand for freedom, equality, integrity, solidarity, and justice. These pillars are our guiding light to achieve a South Africa that is safe, prosperous, equal, and a united nation. And we want to achieve this in one generation. I want to implore you leaders who are now my comrades. Yes, you are my comrades. I know the other mayoral candidate from the other party does not want his members to use the word comrade. We must never fall into such backward narratives. We are comrades. Amandla! Amandla! Ngawethu! Matla! Matla! Matimba! Ahina! We must affirm that we are comrades. Leaders, we have had people use the phrase amaqabane kaThambo in a way that almost insults those who support or vote for the ANC. We must never do that. We must never do that. It should be an honor to be referred to as iqabane likaThambo. And I'm not saying this because I'm from Flagstaff, he was from Bizana. Hint, hint. To be called iqabane kaThambo should be an act of solidarity with our history of struggle. However, these ones in the city of Joburg who claim to be amaqabane kaThambo are not worth the salt that Tambo was. Because Oliver Reginald Tambo is one of the greatest contributors to our liberation struggle. He is the foundation of our constitutional democracy. We should never ever drag him into politics of insults. In fact, I want to declare that mna diliqabane likaThambo. The liberation struggle is our inheritance. We remember the likes of Dennis Goldberg, Andrew Mlangeni, Ahmed Katrata, Ruth First, Yusuf Dadu, and many others who bestowed upon us this heritage that allows us to stand firm and declare that it is time to clean Joburg. Do not mind her party colors of today. She is exercising the rights she fought for. But Aunt Pat, our dear comrade and friend, Patricia de Lille, is a struggle stalwart. She fought for this country to be liberated. Singamaqabane kaDe Lille. We thank you, Aunt Pat, for your continued commitment to liberation, for spatial justice, and for uncomfortable truths. You stood tall, blowing the lead of the corruption of the arms deal. In fact, some of those you stood with had to go into exile in a democratic South Africa. Not many wanted to be associated with you in those days. We know your political consciousness is deeply rooted in the PAC. When we say izwe lethu i-Africa, we are not insulting anyone, but simply affirming that this is our land, and the land question must be answered. And Pat, where are your comrades? In this election, we must carve out an alternative home for all the people who want to see this country work and deliver justice to those who were oppressed by the colonial and apartheid regimes. We cannot live in a city led by people who praise and revere colonialism. We cannot. Not in our name. In this year, marking 50 years since the massacre of children during the June 16 uprising in 1976, we must proudly declare that singamaqabane kabantu Stephen Biko. We are the beneficiaries of the work led by Abo Nkgopotse Tiro, Hector Peterson, Dr. Mampela Rampele, Strini Moodley, and Josie's living icon, Seth Mazibuko. In this year, marking 70 years since the Women's March to the Union Buildings, we have an equal claim to the heritage of Abo Mama no Gogo Betu Abangaseko, Abo Helen Joseph, Albertina Sisulu, Lillian Ngoyi, and our living stalwart, Mama Sophie de Bruyn. And wherever you are, Mama Sophie de Bruyn, just know that we cherish your contributions. I have a very clear picture in my mind of what Joburg looks like in 10 years. It is not a fantasy. Every single thing in this vision exists somewhere in the world already. It has been built, it has been proven, and it has been delivered by governments that decided their residents deserved it. All of it can be achieved in Johannesburg. What has been missing is the leadership to choose it and the courage and drive to build it. I see a young woman finishing her shift at a restaurant in Rosebank at midnight. She doesn't call an Uber she can't afford or wait for a lift that may not come. She taps her Josie on the move public transport card at the stop and gets on a bus that is clean, well lit, and safe. She is home in 20 minutes. She has money left at the end of the month. I see a small business owner in Fortsburg opening his stall at 7 in the morning and trading until 9 at night. Nobody harasses him, nobody confiscates his goods or threatens him with bylaws he doesn't understand. The city helped him to register, gave him a proper trading space with water and waste collection, and got out of his way. His block is alive until late. The street feels like a living and thriving city. I also see a couple in Soweto, both working, one studying part-time at Wits, living 2 streets away from a public clinic that is clean, staffed, and open on Saturdays. Their child attends a school with working toilets, ICT facilities, and a library. They pay their rates and feel for the first time in their adult lives that they are getting something back from the city. Lastly, I also see a young professional in Kilani opening his tap in the morning, and it actually runs. And this tap has been running every morning for 3 years straight. We will achieve that. That's our commitment. And he can comfortably work from home because there's no fear of cable theft or a stolen mini substation. He is still paying his rates, but he has stopped thinking of them as a tax on disappointment. He is thinking about buying the flat he stays in. There is also a developer somewhere in Waterfall who has been told by the city that his new mixed-use development must include affordable rental units for the people who will work in it. The cleaners, the baristas, the security guards must be able to live in Waterfall. So that they can live near where they work and don't spend 3 hours a day on a taxi they can barely afford. In this Joburg of the future, we will also restore our urban villages and dismantle the tyranny of the culture of always seeing malls as development. Are we clear? We will restore urban villages. Shopping malls are not always a sign of development. We must allow small businesses owned by hard-working individuals and families to thrive without the fear of the city approving yet another mall that kills those businesses. A grandmother in Alexandra, been 10 years, Alex. Ugogwe Alex must be able to walk to the park on a Saturday afternoon and find that the grass is cut, the benches are in good shape, and the lights come on when it gets dark. And her grandchildren can play without her feeling she needs to be around them all the time. This is the Joburg I am running to build. A city where the water runs and the lights stay on, where public transport is real and affordable enough that a car is a choice rather than a necessity, where the informal economy is celebrated rather than criminalized, and our streets are alive the way great African cities are. Public services such as clinics, schools, libraries, parks must reach every neighborhood, not just the ones that can afford to go private. People should spend most of their income on building a life rather than on substituting for a city that has failed them. Let me be clear. Public services are not just for poor people. Something that has gone wrong in our country, where you think public service and you think poor people. Public service is for citizens and residents. That is why I was shocked when another comrade told me that in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, not a single public school has been built in the past 20 years. That's an abomination. But we know who doesn't benefit when we sort out these problems. So if we put a City of Joburg public clinic in the center of the northern suburbs, suddenly medical aid payments might fall because we are catering for people to utilize public services. Therefore, great cities are never accidents. They are built by leaders who shape the future before it arrives. Whether it was Lee Kuan Yew transforming Singapore through public housing and discipline, or Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum turning Dubai into a global hub, where they look at God economy likes going, they blunder here and then they go where things work with our money. These leaders I've mentioned made deliberate and often contested choices. From Medellin's social investments to Seal's urban restoration, they proved that transformation is a bold political act and not just a technical exercise. Success requires the courage to ignore voices that claim a vision is too risky and expensive. We must master the basics. We must master the basics. Ensuring water runs, lights stay on, and streets are safe. But we cannot confuse survival with success. That is survival, not hitting a pothole. That basic. Johannesburg cannot afford a vision that ends at recovery. Fixing what is broken provides dignity, but we are also deciding what kind of city we are becoming for future generations. Rapid urbanization and shifting economies require us to act with intention now. Getting the basics right is where we begin, but it is not where our ambition ends. Therefore, comrades and leaders, let me share the 6 key pillars of this campaign with you. The first pillar is rooting out illegality, enforcing the rules and restoring the city. The second pillar is service delivery. You pay for it, we deliver it. The third pillar is spatial reform, shared spaces, shared prosperity. And we achieve this in 2 ways: investing in public transport, a Joburg on the move, and investing in human settlements. You work here, you live here, you belong here. This thing that you work in Sentin and at 5 o'clock you no longer belong and you must go back to Soweto, that's apartheid. That's apartheid. You have a pass to come provide labor for 8 hours. And then after that 8 hours, khutlela mo hae. Hae kae? Ising mo ko Sentin. Ba bua yalo akere. Ising mo Sentin. Khutlela hae. No, we are saying if we are working in Sentin, it's a home for all of us. We have an equal claim to live there, and the city must make it possible for people to live there. The fourth pillar is supporting the informal economy, a city where trading is not a crime. The fifth pillar is dissolving the Joburg entities. Your city, your services, and no more middlemen. The last pillar of this campaign, which will be anchoring a coalition, and we are going to be the steady hand in the room. We will not bully our counterparts, we will respect them, we will robustly negotiate with them, and we will arrive at a coalition government on the floors of the Results Operations Center on the 6-7 November. And I'm telling you, Rise Mzansi will be leading that coalition.
Yebo.
These 6 pillars will be our guiding light as we go out to listen some more to the residents of Johannesburg. We will use them to say to people, this is our framework of negotiation. And then when the time is right, we will come back and launch a plan on how we are going to achieve these 6 pillars. Don't worry, our people say, what is your plan? We have an idea of a plan. But in the next 5 months, we have a duty to be influenced by the residents of Johannesburg.
Phakama lukhona phakama.
Comrades, I have spoken to the people who were born in this city. They have told me that we all have a collective responsibility to ensure that this city is led and governed by its residents and not outsiders who behave like tourists. We know the problems of our city, so we need not make a mockery or ridicule out of them because they are our hardship. Our national chairperson, Vuyiswa Makgopa, was born not too far from here in Hillbrow. And I'm sure all of us, as we were commuting to this venue, we've seen what a dump has become of Hillbrow and Berea. The government of this city has completely given up on these areas. Yet some of our liberation fighters were housed in these areas when they returned from exile. Some people bought and rented property here when they first moved to Johannesburg. We know this place can be safe, clean, livable, and a desirable home for many residents. This is why our theme is to clean up Joburg. It is not just about cleaning up, lighting up, and painting up Sandton for the G20. It's about cleaning up all of Joburg. And what is most tragic in my discoveries about Joburg, not far from where we are some of the city's most iconic buildings with rich history. But there are no history books in the city that can even tell the story, which would be a boost for tourism and pet. As we know in other cities, they even have tour guides that have badges that take people to tell the marvelous story of their cities. And the only story we have to tell about Joburg today is a story of decay. That is a problem. But what is nice in this room, we have power. We're talking about tourism. We have the acting premier who also leads economic development in Gauteng. So we won't be struggling with bureaucracy. We just pick up the phone. Comrade, we need action. WhatsApp, same WhatsApp group. Josie on the move is in the house.
Yeah, boy. Yes, yes, yes.
The residents of this city have also told us that in actual fact, ideology does matter in this election. It is ideology that will make sure that Orange Farm is not a forgotten part of the city. Ideology will ensure that we challenge big business and big property developers without fear or favor. Some who are running in this election even call themselves capitalists. And we know that kind never cares for people. They just want profits while exploiting people. This is not a hostile position against big business. Johannesburg is the financial and economic hub of the country. It is the home to the stock exchange and our biggest and most established banks. However, our position in this campaign is simply to affirm that we will run a government that does not sacrifice the informal economy and small businesses. We have a duty towards an equitable regulatory environment. Whether big or small, it must be easy to set up and run your business in Johannesburg. This will accelerate the ability to create jobs and feed families. Ideology will determine our resolve to bring public housing closer to workplaces in areas such as Sandton, Rosebank, Waterfall, Sunning Hill, Linden, and so on. You will never do away with informal settlements if you do not have integrated housing. It's a fact of life. Our ideology as Rise Mzansi and the Good Party is social democracy. You must proudly tell people when they ask you. Yes, the free market must exist, but the state must be able to decisively intervene to subdue any excesses of the free market. Poor people and the working class must be provided with adequate welfare programs. Labor rights must be protected instead of being seen as a stumbling block to investment. Democracy must prevail. The free market and responsible government can work together. And we have seen with the Gautrain, and we believe that acting premier, it's in your capable hands, at least for today. Ideology will influence our strategies for environmental justice and how we plan for climate shocks. When we negotiate climate finance for resilient infrastructure, it will be ideology that puts people first rather than purely technical approaches to climate finance, ensuring a real, just energy transition that saves the environment. Comrades, we are at a crossroads and we are almost out of time. Politics has abandoned the people. Many residents of this city have checked out from exercising their right to vote. Enough research shows this. They no longer trust that their vote can translate into positive outcomes. Yet, the material conditions that make them despair are a product of those who are elected to office. We then have a serious task in the next almost 6 months, where we need to make people understand that voting is an important ticket out of misery. We must run a people-to-people campaign. We must not obsess about how many votes we will get. We must obsess about how many people we will get into our movement, the people who will make sure we reach all 135 wards of Johannesburg. Every resident matters. People must be free to offer us their time. Any contribution, as little as 5 rand, we will take. We might start gaskotokoto even today, somewhere there at the back. We must not pretend we have a lot. We must not pretend we have a lot. We must know that we are nothing without the residents of Joburg. We must listen carefully to people. We must be persuadable. We must not believe we have all the answers, but we must not pretend we have no idea what needs to be done. From today onward, a squad of competent, capable new leaders will be unveiled throughout the campaign so that you know who will lead the campaign in your wards. Each house, each street, and each neighborhood must feel our presence. We do not just want a safe and clean city for its own sake. We want it so that our mental health can be restored, so that we can go to groove freely at night. We want our nightlife to be buzzing, and we want it back. So somebody write, Amasela out, Ubumnandi in. One leader of the ANC, Sbundebele, the former premier of KwaZulu-Natal, once made me understand something in a very profound sense. He said, when we were fighting mobile network operators to expand in KwaZulu-Natal, I said, I hear the stuff about big business and ease of doing business. He said, I just want the citizens of KwaZulu-Natal to be able to jola, date easily. That seeing your girlfriend does not depend on you having to walk kilometers and kilometers because you can't call them. You can call them and check, are you home? So we must humanize governing. Governing is about people, not about big plans and documents. It's about how we improve the quality of life. And we must not pretend we don't love groove. In actual fact, we can turn Johannesburg into the groove capital of the world, and that is an economy. Comrades, this city is a very important city. It is home to 2 former presidents. Even the current president and deputy president, they live in this city. When I do door-to-door to their houses. Joburg is also the home of Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs.
Yes. Pussy for life.
The real Orlando Pirates supporters are now in the race. Ezimnyama ngenkani ezingamagebhula ezagebhula umhlaba masipala azawubhekisa phezulu. Not these fake Orlando Pirates supporters who are tourists into this city. This city is the headquarters of our broadcasting media. This city is home to multiple businesses and industries, even those whose operations are scattered around the world. We must fight to restore that Joburg where indeed kukwandonga ziyaduma kwanyama ipheli kuphela izinyo lendoda. We are telling the residents of Joburg it is time to vote Amasela out so that we can achieve a safe and clean Joburg with Mzansi at the helm. These new leaders I will be leading with are individuals who love and respect the people of Johannesburg. We cannot allow ourselves to be led by people who insult and demean us at every opportunity they get. I want to tell all of you and all the residents of Johannesburg that I love you. Anintandi mna? I love you. I love you. I love you. I respect you. I respect you. I cherish you. And Ibile, your name is Chair. I cherish you. I cherish you. And I want to work and walk with you. Comrades, as I finish, as they say in the streets to Amasela, uyeza umkhwanazi. Go out and tell them, uyeza ulukhona mnguni. And as TKZ said, isikhathi samapopayi siphelile ma.
Ubaba ufuna zomuthuma awuye webaba kuleli lizwe lonke awuye baba ubaba ufuna zomuthuma awuye webaba kuleli lizwe lonke awuye lala Ithi muthume baba kulamakhumi amane awuwe baba Ithi muthume baba kulamakhumi amane awuwe baba ubaba ufuna zomthuma kulamakhumi amane awuwe baba
I rise, I rise, we rise, we rise, rise, look on a rise, rise, look on a rise, rise, Joburg, rise, rise, city of Joburg, rise, Amandla, Amandla, uyeza ubani, uyeza ubani, uyeza ulukhona mnguni, amasela out, ubumnandi in.
Yeah.